Hello friends, today we are working with audio. We have some files prepared for you. I have some ambience and some SFX sound effects. So for ambience, most importantly, usually you want ambience and music files to load type is streaming, and then SFX, I believe the default settings are fine. For now at least. If you want to save space, you can alter the compression format and the sample rate settings. Lower sample rates will cut down the size of the file quite a lot. But let's see, I added some footsteps audio here. So if you select your character, let's open the prefab. I'm actually going to go and change the relative volume quite a bit lower, because we don't want our footsteps audio to overwhelm anything else. And when you open your main prefab of the player, you can see the footstep sounds component. It has the surfaces window button. When you open it, you should create some surfaces, whatever you have. I have 10 sounds for walking and 10 sounds for running. It is quite good to have multiple of these, both for walking and running, and as many different surfaces as you can have. Name your surfaces, like what is the name of the surface. You need to have physics materials, and it should be underscore and then the name of the surface. So these are the settings. Auto detect surface, make sure the layer mask is default. Ray length, that's fine. Only play when grounded, we are always grounded, so that doesn't really matter. Walk and run separation, we need to listen a bit to see how well they work. And by default it selects the first surface, I believe, in the surfaces window. I think the 0 here, this is the default sound. It is fine for this, because we are walking mostly on wood here. Then I have added these physics materials. Just create a box collider 2D for here. Make sure it's trigger so it's not affecting our movement, and add the physics material. I also created an empty game objects for our toilet floor, for example. It has the stone, it's tiles, but stone sounds close enough. And then I have added, we don't need to add if the most of the map is wood, so I only added these colliders to where the sounds would change. It doesn't have to look pretty, they just need to be there. We don't have to cover the entire floor with this collider. Just make sure the colliders are triggered. So when we play, we can skip this cutscene. We can start walking. We can hear the footsteps changing. Carpet, back to wooden floor. And then we have this stone sound here in our toilet. Then we have, let's say we add those ambience sounds. Let's go to ACK Mediterranean scene, and here we can create a sound. It goes into the correct folder. It is automatically has the sound. It has the sound component. Every sound that is used with the adventure creator needs to have this, and then just select the sound type based on what it is. This is SFX, and because we want this ambience audio to play only near our fridge here, because we have this fridge ambience sound. Let's name this fridge sound. Add your sound to it. It is looping and playing on awake, and its spatial blend needs to be 3D. And also I forced this audio file to mono, because sometimes it may affect the, Unity doesn't like if it's playing stereo sound and then it wants to play 3D locational audio. So set your file first to mono, and then in here spatial blend we set it here to 3D. If it's just 2D, it's placed the same in the entire scene. If we set it to 3D, we can modify this distance thing here. So max and minimum distances. So minimum maybe 2, max 3, 4, something like that. We can still hear it here. And we can, I'm wearing headphones so I can hear it from the right side of my headphones, and then we go closer. It sounds better here. We need to modify like these distances if you don't want this sound to be quite as far. We could also add a little trigger here that just quiets the sound when we get out of this room. That might be something that we do here. Let's just duplicate this and add dripping sound and change this audio. We have water dripping audio and bring it to our toilet. And it can have the same settings, that's fine. I think it's fine. Let's create those triggers. That's actually something that would be a good idea. So we don't hear like the dripping sound if our player is standing here. So let's create this trigger here. Trigger 2D. Let's toilet VC. So sound, play, then select your sound, dripping sound here, loop, ignore if already playing, that's probably good. So here we could actually set it to fade in. So add a little fade. So it's less noticeable that the sound quiets down. And then these settings, it has a box color and the trigger component. We need this to be run in background so it doesn't affect our gameplay, and trigger type on enter. When we enter this toilet in here, we will be playing the dripping sound only then. And then we actually also need to take out the play on awake from these. So it is only playing when we first enter this here. And then duplicate the same trigger, drag it down a little bit. When we enter this, we would then fade it out. And this would be trigger type on exit. And these need to work together, so we don't walk here and then when we exit this and go onto this at the same time. These need to turn each other off and on. So toilet exit by default, we need to remember trigger. This needs to be off. You can copy the component on the other trigger, paste, and this needs to be trigger state on start to on. When we go here, we go object, send message, toilet exit turn on, and itself turn off. Copy these actions, go to the other action list, paste them here, and then just change around the message to send, turn on and off. Okay, so toilet trigger, I removed the ignore if already playing, it's looping, it's fading in, and this is on enter and does those, and this other one is on exit, it's fading out and turning off and on. And they are overlapping a little bit, so when we go in, we are playing, and when we go out, it's stopping the audio. Actually, in this same, can I just use this same, because I'm gonna add also the fade out for the fridge sound here. So maybe fade 1 second here. Add it to the same, and on the exit we can play it back in. And let's just duplicate these two. Move them here. This would be kitchen trigger. And kitchen exit. So exit is out of here. And enter is here. So we need to change the size of these things to make sure the player cannot go around them. Then we just remove the dripping sound from these kitchens. And we need to disable and enable the correct triggers. So just change those also. And this is the fridge sound. Yes. Yeah, this needs to be fade in. And kitchen exit is fade out. Yeah, I just made that a little bit mistake there. So this activates before we can get off the trigger. So let's change the size here so they won't be, player cannot overlap on both of them. And I believe the same has to be done here. So let's test this better. Okay. That's better. Yes. Okay, now it works as I want. So make sure your triggers are not overlapping. Give them some space from each other. Just make sure that the player cannot stand on both at the same time. So now when we enter the kitchen, the sound plays here. And when we go to the toilet, it goes off and changes to the toilet's audio. And then the same here. When we enter the kitchen from the entrance here, it starts playing. And when we go back, it stops the audio. I believe that is fine. Yes. Little bit of different difficult thing to manage, but that's fine. Okay, those are our triggers now for the audios of the ambiences here in the kitchen at the toilet here. So I also added some SFX for cleaning stuff and also sounds for the light switches and this for the box in the beginning cutscene. So let's go into our cutscene here. We are playing the audio here when they are changing the visibility of the boxes. So go here, sound. We can play one shot and it can be the sound that plays on the boxes. Let's test. There we go. Let's see if we set it to play in default sound. That's probably. Let's see how it plays. It sounds about the same. Sometimes the one shot is a bit difficult because, well, usually only if the. Yeah, it sounds from the left here if it's not playing on default sound. So play from default sound, or if you don't want to play from the default sound itself, you can create your own SFX like sound, and then we can audio source set it here. If your audio sounds, because if you're playing a lot of sounds from the default sound, if there are overlapping sounds, then they will cancel each other out. Or like the latest sound to play from default sound is playing. It ends the other ones. So it depends on how much is happening. If there's just one sound playing, you can easily just select play from default sound. And if you have directional audios here, like for example something from the TV plays or a lamp breaks in this room or something like that, we could bring that audio with the spatial blend set to 3D and place it here. Okay, then we have our light switches, which I want to do. There's this lamp and then the light switch. So let's just select, we have placed actually another sprite here on top of that. I just changed the sprites around on the switch here, so it has some visualization. So this is a hotspot. We can change the label also here. Turn off lights, let's say. And also highlight, let's create a highlight itself. And let's place the other sprite as a child. These both need to have the visibility. Remember visibility. And we are turning visibility on start on the other sprite here to off. So when we press this, we play one shot. Also play this from default sound. We have those clicks. These two. So we have that, which then changes the sprite. So object visibility. This goes invisible and this goes visible. It does not have the box collider. That's quite important to have to make sure it works. I just need to go and make sure it changes back. So let's create a local variable, and this is main light, let's say. Let's say that the initial value is true, and go back to the interaction, turn off lights. So it should go and variable set local main light turns it to false. Let's create a new variable check local main light. Bring that to the front, auto arrange. So if the main light is true, it goes off here. Then we can copy all of this, paste it here, and that we had two different click sounds. So let's change that to the other one, and then change around the visibilities, and then the main light goes on. I really need to take out those cursors, change cursor based on interaction. And how big was this? Let's make it a little bit smaller, our main cursor. I also am showing the hide cursor, always shows system cursor in the editor. We can hide that in our gameplay. Yeah, it's not in our way. So now if we click, we can see the change on the lights. This isn't actually doing anything else than playing the sound and changing the sprite. So we need to change our lights a little bit. So we already have by default global light 2D, and it's quite important. If we don't have that, the scene is completely dark. So we can set the light to be very, very dim, the global light here. And then we can create light, and we have all these different lights: bright light, spotlight, global light, and freeform light. I'm not actually sure what the freeform lights are. I believe we can change it. That's quite nice, the circle light, but it's pretty much the same as just it can be any shape. So that's quite nice, the freeform light. Yes, I could do like that. I believe that might be new thing. Hexagon. Yeah, that must be new. I don't remember seeing this. But yeah, spotlight. Actually, the spotlight is good for this light here. And the freeform light, I believe, would be better for the rooms, because the rooms are mostly just... What kind of freeform sprite spot global? So how do I change this? Edit shape. Yeah, I believe I can just change this to any shape I want, which is quite handy. So this is just the kitchen, and we can add these here, these new points. And for now, let's just make it so that it changes the lights on both of these rooms. So just click and drag, and it creates a new point that you can place in your scene. I don't know, does it matter how complicated it gets? I need to do some research on that. But for now, this seems to be... Yeah, if they are too close, it gets a little fucked. But otherwise, seems good. Freeform lights for the win, I believe. Fall off, you can change how much it affects. Yeah, here you can see the effect of them being too close to each other. But yeah, fall off, I believe the original is fine. Intensity, not as much. And maybe change just a tiny tint of blue, maybe? And also create another freeform light of square into the toilet here. Edit its shape. This is new for me too, these freeform lights, so it's kind of fun. Yeah, this seems to be fine. Just a little bit of these things here. I want this light to be more of a yellow, maybe. And then the intensity can go down. Yeah. And then let's create also the spotlight for Spotlight 2D for this room here. Maybe this would be fine to have for this room. So the radius for this would change like so. And this also would be more of a like warmer color, yellow, orange. Okay. We could also do this with the freeform light to make sure it's like the same. It doesn't light up this area here. So I think I'm just gonna do that. Another freeform light. Freeform square or circle. Let's go with the squares again. So just place it here near the corner and then edit the shape to cover the room. But here I would like to... So maybe circle would have been good here, but if I want the light to be like more of a round shape near this lamp, so it would making these with the square kind of jagged edges, but maybe that's fine. Maybe a bit more fall off and a bit less intensity and go to the orangish shade. Okay, that looks fine for now. Let's see if this works. Light switch enable on start. All the freeform lights, add those light switch says. And in here we are also setting the object send message. This is turning off the light, so it's the first freeform light we created. It is this, turn it off, then here turn it back on. So save that. Let's try if it works. I don't remember using the light switch script, but it must be with Adventure Creator. Yeah. Works like a charm. Is it a bit weird that it lights these same lights is both the kitchen and the living room, whatever. And there is no button here for the toilet. That's fine. And let's also make sure this also works. This light here. So it's freeform light is this. Maybe a bit dimmer. And then we select this sprite here. We can drag the light switch to our interactables. And this light would be, let's drag this under the same. This also, same thing. So visibility, the other one. So it needs to be actually on by default. So that's on, this is off. So let's drag that there, and this would be off by default. Then we create a hotspot on that. This time we remember to make the box collider with the trigger. This would be, I actually forgot one thing. From here, if we want to have these names on the hotspots, so we can change the hotspot's name. So hotspot rename. This would be for the light switch. So turn off lights and then turn on. Wait, this is turning them on. Yeah. And then on. Off and on. I believe that's correct. This light here, same thing. Turn off light, maybe just one .s. Create a new interaction. This could maybe also be done as with parameters, but since we don't have that many lights, it's just fine. So let's not paste. Select all from that action list that we created. Go to the new turn off or on lights. And for this, only thing is we need to do, there are a few things that we need to do. Variable, its own variable here. So it's bedroom light. And its initial value is also true. So change that to bedroom light. It had its own sound. And then change the light. Hold on, it's true by default. So we are turning this invisible and then this visible. So in here it's the other way around. Like so, and then bedroom light, and this changes this freeform light, and then the hotspot would be itself. Did I put no, I don't think I did on this one. It doesn't have the correct hotspot set up here, so let's go and select that and place them here, like so. Okay, I believe with those changes it should work. So place that there, click on this, turn on lights, turn off lights. Works as intended, and then on this, turn off, turn on. It's difficult to see the sprite changing now, but this has this light clearly showing, and the pulley thing moves. But yeah, that works. Make sure to add this kind of interactions to your game. It makes the world feel more alive. Okay, one more thing. All our trash. So we had our clean thing. So we need to add a sound to it. So let's create actually a new parameter, I believe. This is just the trash can, and then there's this. So let's create a new parameter, and it would it be Unity object then? If we want to, it's running trash check, yeah. If we want to play one shot, so here it would be this. So trash audio, and then it would play from default sound. That's it. That's all we need to add to this. So sound play one shot, new parameter, trash audio as the clip. So now when we select our interactables, these trash things, there's a new thing under the set interaction parameters, trash audio. So let's just check our trash. That's the bottles. These are other things. So let's just go one by one and give them fitting audio. Some sort of bumper. This also some sort of bumper. Just rotate these bumper sounds and add whatever feels right. 5. Looks more like glass shards, but let's just use the paper pickup sound for now because we don't have anything fitting for that. Trash thing, clutter, that would have the bottle sound. And this, more paper, trash. Trash. This is just liquid. So it would need to also have its own sound. Maybe some sort of cleaning sound. And this is just more of that paper trash. This is also close enough. And then the trash can would have its own sound. Did I add that? No. We can use just for now. We can use the same. So here just sound, play one shot, play from default, and just use the same as the box in the beginning. That's fine. We can change it later on if we need to. Okay, let's play. Placing that there. Then let's start cleaning. It's playing. Oh, where's that hotspot gone? Where's that hotspot gone? So colliders, just everything in the colliders that are, we set these so our footstep audios would play correctly, but its layer is default, which just happens to be our hotspot layer. So let's go and change these to ignore raycast. They were overlapping with our hotspots. So for your hotspot colliders, they cannot be on top of another hotspot. Turn off the lights. Let's see how well the objects show when it's dark. Yeah, it's pretty well. Clean, clean, bottles, clean, clean, clean. That doesn't have any sound, but that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, we have a problem. Ignore raycast is probably not good for when we need to actually check with a raycast. So let's go and change the layer to something else. Background image, nav mesh, UI, water, default. It can't be default, and it can't be ignore raycast. Nav mesh, I don't know. Let's just create our own. This is footstep audio. Let's create a whole new layer to make sure it doesn't go and touch anything that we need it for. So footstep audio, add it here. Now it should work. Ignore raycast is a bad thing to put on something that needs raycasts. Yeah, now we are back in business. Everything works now correctly. Yes, okay. We are starting to get a bit more life into our game. Some ambient sounds, different sound effects for picking up stuff, turning on and off lights, all sorts of stuff like that. The turn on and off thing is quite important to know that, for example, the hotspot, when these lights have this light switch component, when we use the turn on and off, it reads this. Also, the same would be with particles. If you have a particle, you go and give it particle switch, and then when you run the turn on or off, it would run the particle system. Those are the things that you need to know, and it's not clearly explained anywhere. Okay, let's save this. Everything seems to be working quite fine for us now with the audio, and let's see what we come up with next time. Thank you for watching.